Okay, so I watched Curse tonight, and it has been several years since I last seen this movie. I have a decent memory on how the movie was. I remember it having not the best CGI, not the best script in the world, and I'm aware of all the production issues that went on with this movie. Wes Craven set out to make his movie, um, and there was a percentage of his version that was filmed. How much of it was filmed exactly, that's up to the imagination. We're not entirely sure. There could be a completed cut out there, there could be a quarter of a cut out there, there could be a half director's cut out there. We don't exactly know how much of his cut was exactly filmed for this movie. And this movie was originally had a great lineup of actors. You know, we had Nancy from A Nightmare on Elm Street, A Nightmare on Elm Street reunion with Wes Craven and Kevin Williamson. Like, how is just that not like the greatest thing ever? And so the studio completely shut down production as Wes Craven was filming, and they came to him and was like, "Hey, we want you to rewrite, reshoot this from the ground up. We want a completely new movie here." And to put the cherry on top here, they even got Clive Barker. That is right, the man, the myth, the legend him fucking self, the guy behind the werewolf makeup of American Werewolf in London. The name just froze in my head there for a second. Who gave us one of the best, if not the greatest, werewolf transformation in all of cinema. And so you have that guy doing the werewolf work in your film, and you completely disregarded all of that. There's a great interview online with Clive Barker, him talking about his experience working on Curse and exactly how much of it was in the film, which is so little and so far and in between that it's barely noticeable in the movie. You have to feel like an awful person if you do that. Like, seriously, you have one of the greatest makeup artists of your time doing the makeup for your movie, a movie that's directed by Wes Craven, a movie that's written by Kevin Williamson. Like, that is just that's a great casting crew right there. Like, this could have been an amazing movie if the studio just fucked off and let Wes Craven did what he did best and let Clive Barker do what he does best. And like, we could have had, another great werewolf transformation. And it's like, that's the thing, is it had so much potential, but the studio, it had to, they had to get all their hands in it and change it and make it more modern, add more CGI to it, make the werewolf CGI to appeal to a more broader audience. And this movie is an example of CGI does not hold up. Which, I'll get into that. But yeah, this movie just on paper, with the cast you had lined up, the director you had attached, the makeup artist you had attached, like, this just sounds like the ultimate horror film. Having all of the best, horror people, come together to make a movie like that is just insane to me that we could have seen that version of the movie. But unfortunately, that's not the movie that we saw. The version of the movie that we saw is the watered down studio produced cut of Cursed. And this movie has maybe 5% of Wes Craven's vision, because you can tell when you're watching this that this is not a Wes Craven directed film. This is not a movie that Wes Craven would have made. You can just tell that this is not a movie Wes Craven wanted to make. Like, this particular version of it, the studio cut of the movie, he did not want to make this. You can just tell, because The tone of this movie is very inconsistent. It's going back and forth between horror and comedy, and the comedy in this film does not work. The horror in this film, the thrills, the tension, the suspense, that does not work in this movie whatsoever. The slightest thing I can say about this movie that is good is there's some decent gore. Like, the first kill of the movie where we see that chick and half of her body is missing and you see her guts and all that. I thought that was really cool. I thought that was a great prosthetic for the film, and I thought that was probably the most thrilling scene of the movie, and that was a scene that I bet $5 had Wes Craven's name over it. I bet that was a scene that was in Wes Craven's original version of the film. Like there's a selected scenes I can pick out of this movie and I can be like, that was from Wes Craven's cut, that was from Wes Craven's cut. But there's a good 95% of this movie that is not him. But yeah, moving on from that. The acting in this film is not too bad. Like, I enjoyed the acting, I enjoyed the characters in this film. Jesse Eisenberg, at first, when he was first introduced, I was like, I don't like his whiny kind of attitude. I don't like the approach he's kind of taking with his character. But then as his character, progressed, he became more likable. And I was on his side by the end of the film. When he actually stands up to his bullies. Like, I think the film does have a good message about like kind of standing up for yourself and and not letting people push you around. I think the movie does have a good message about that. And from my understanding, I believe Wes Craven was actually bullied in school, and so I'm glad that's a message that he does present here, because I think that's a very relevant message to present to a younger audience. But then, saying that, younger audience, this movie's rated MA, and from my understanding, the studio wanted to make a more mature movie. Like, they wanted to make a movie that teenagers could go see, and there's those PG-13 scares, there's PG-13 thrills. But how did teenagers get, unless the cut of the film I watched was the unrated? I rented this on YouTube, so I don't know what cut that is. If someone can clarify that in the comments, whether I watched the unrated or the theatrical cut of the film, I don't know. But Jesse Eisenberg's character, I really liked the progression of his character in the film. His performance became more believable as well. Judy Greer, she's an amazing actress. Like, she recently just wrapped up David Gordon Green's Halloween franchise, and she's amazing in Halloween and Halloween Kills. But in this movie, she is the most annoying, asshole, bitchy character you can ever think of. Her performance, like whenever she's on screen, I was just rolling my eyes. I was just like, oh, please fucking die now. And somehow she's the main fucking villain of the movie. I don't get that. How? Oh my god. Well, not main villain, but she's like the first reveal out of two in this film. But her character, whenever she was on screen, she is the most insufferable, annoying character you can ever imagine. Who else is in this movie? Jesse Eisenberg's mum. Can't think of the actress at the moment, but I thought she was excellent in the movie. Like, the movie is definitely very fun. The movie has a lot of energy to it. There's a lot of fun to be had here. There's a lot of entertainment, to be had with this movie. but I just would have rather seen Wes Craven's cut because his goal was to reinvent the werewolf genre. He already made a name for what slashers are today with Scream, and he's made one of the best horror masterpieces of all time with A Nightmare on Elm Street. And he wanted to reinvent the werewolf genre. So having a guy who's already made slashers what they are today, and now him going over to the werewolf subgenre, like, there's just so much fucking potential in this movie. It's just like the more I think about it, the more I desperately just want to see the Craven cut of this film. Like, I want that to be released. Like, whether it's 5 minutes of footage, whether it's 45 minutes of footage, whether it's an entire cut, just fucking release it. Like, especially since, Wes Craven died, this should be like his last wish. Should be, to release his true vision for Cursed. So I don't know why we haven't gotten it yet. Like, I'm still holding out hope, for humanity and for the studio behind, for, Harvey Weinstein and all of that, to release the Craven cut of this film. Will it ever happen? Probably not. But I'm still holding out hope. Like, it's something, I really want to see. And I want to see what his idea for this movie was. The werewolf CGI in this movie is just amazing in all the ways. This is like PS1 graphics. This is some of the worst CGI you can ever get. In my Jeepers Creepers Reborn review, I was complaining about the CGI in that film and, the green screen and all that. Yeah. Well, compared to this piece of shit, that movie had amazing CGI. This film, the werewolf, just looks like shit. Like, the transformation at the end, when Judy Greer's looking in the mirror and she's transforming and all that, my mouth dropped. My mouth dropped in shock at how bad it looked. And as I was watching that scene, I was reflecting on an American Werewolf in London, and I was just like, man, we could have got, that level of excellence in here with that transformation scene. We could have got a great practical werewolf transformation scene. And just as I was watching it, I was just thinking of all of the better things that we could have gotten in the Craven cut. But, the studio wanted to add as much CGI in the film. So, this is where I say practical over CGI. CGI never holds up. And that's why I will always say until the day I die that practical is so much better than CGI. What else is there really talk about? There's not really a whole lot to really address in this movie. I do like the horror House of Terrors in this film that they set up where there's all these different rooms. Like there's Frankenstein in the background. There was like the Nightmare on Elm Street house, and there were all these cool little Easter eggs there. So I enjoyed that. I enjoyed spotting them out, and I liked the atmosphere there. But then besides that, this movie is largely forgettable. There's not, like I said, this is a guilty pleasure. This is a movie, I can easily put on, maybe every couple months, and I can be like, this is a fun movie. But, I will always reflect back on the Craven cut. Like, that's something, knowing the history of Cursed, knowing the production that they went through, I will always think back and be like, this movie could have been so much better. But for what it is, there's definitely energy in here. Everybody's giving the best performance that they did. From how the actors have talked about it since the film came out, does not sound like any of them really had fun making this. They didn't really have any passion, and so keeping that in mind, their performances, are fun in the movie. Their characters are good. Their performances are as good as they can be. Yeah, I cannot speak for shit. As good as they can be. There we go. They're believable, and like that's kind of really all you want from a performance. Is as long as it's believable. That's really all I really want from an actor, is just to really sell their character and to sell their performance. I'm just trying to think if there's really anything else in this movie to talk about. Um, I do like the werewolf stuff wasn't really developed enough in the movie um, that I found. Like yeah, you see the werewolf attacking at the start of the film, and then it comes back every now and then. But then there's this whole history that the film sets up about there's been other murders. What was it? It was like over 1,000 murders, I think, in the US from from werewolves, and yeah, it's just like that never really comes back in. It's like in one news article, and that never really comes back in. And I would like the film, to kind of expand on that, to kind of know exactly how long this has been going on for, and just really kind of just develop that story more. Um, I did find it funny though, the finger scene. I did enjoy that. Whenever I do watch this movie, I do always have a laugh with that shot. Um, but yeah, the film doesn't really have any laughs in there. I was not barely laughing. I wasn't really chuckling in the film. So all of the humor falls flat. Yeah, there is a lot wrong with this movie. But like I said, it's fun. I enjoyed this movie. Like, there's definitely fun to be had in a shitty movie, and this is an example of a guilty pleasure for me. This is a movie I own on Blu-ray, and I really enjoy this movie, like probably more than I should. Um, but yeah, hashtag release the Craven Cut.